Speak Up with Vernisa and Jen. It's time to speak up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Vernisa.
Hey, y'all. This is Jen.
And this is our podcast, Speak Up. What's up, Jen?
Hey, girl.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Glad that we made it to episode 13 of our newest segment, SpeakUpJV Now.
That's right, y'all. I'm so happy we're back. I know we took a little bit of a hiatus, but I'm more excited than ever to hop back onto this.
Yes, most definitely. For those of you that don't know, me and Jen are best friends, and we create this podcast to use our voices to motivate people to overcome life's challenges through self-love and respect.
That's right, y'all. Whether we do 1,300 episodes or 300 episodes, wherever, those are two core values we hold near and dear to our hearts.
Yes, most definitely. We've done about 150 by now, so you should know.
Wow.
Right. Before we get started, quick shout out to our amazing sponsors. Shout out to My Bar, located at 720 East Manchester in Inglewood, California. Get your nails, your lashes, your hair done. Support a Black business today. Ask for My. Their Instagram is at nyy.bar. Book your appointment now.
And shout out to Be Actual Natural. Why settle for less? All their products are created with you in mind for a goal to let your self-love show through your self-care. Their chemical-free hair and skincare products are handmade, plant-based, and free of fillers or preservatives. Treat yourself while you're taking care of yourself. Start your journey at www.beactualnatural.com or check them out on Instagram at beactualnatural.
Yes, most definitely. So I am so excited for tonight's episode. Like, words cannot explain. I want you guys to give it up for choreographer, producer, and actor Darrin Dewitt Henson.
It's good to be here.
Ooh, welcome. It was so
Good
nice
to
to
be
meet
here.
you today.
It was great to meet you. It's all love. I mean, you're an amazing individual. Now I get to meet your best friend. Life is good.
Yes, life is great, and you got to be in sunny California today.
Yes.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself. Oh yeah.
Say that again.
Tell us a little bit about. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
About me. Wow. Well, my name is Darrin Dewitt Henson. I'm born and raised in the Bronx, and I'm a choreographer, actor, television producer, and film producer now. And I love what I do, and I'm known as the choreographer to the stars, and I've been choreographing for many years, and now acting for many years. And I'm best known for some works like NSYNC's Bye Bye Bye, J-Lo's Love Don't Cost a Thing, Enrique Iglesias' Bailamos, Britney Spears' You Drive Me Crazy video or the Sometimes video, Christina Aguilera's Genie in the Bottle, Jagged Edge's Where's the Party At? I mean, just so many people. Prince's Face Down. I've just done so much work in my life. SWV, Lisa, Let the Beat Hit 'Em. Just, so many choreographical works that are out in the world now. But Bye 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 is one of the biggest.
Oh my goodness, yes, it definitely is. I must say, I know that routine myself. I always brings back so many memories.
I agree.
No doubt.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, tell us about your new documentary. Oh my goodness, really good.
Wow, the Untold Darrin Henson story is streaming right now on the All Black Network and on Amazon, and I'm so proud of it because it tells the story of my young childhood growing up in New York City in the Bronx, all the way to present day, and how I met the stars that I met, how I got to work with them and choreograph for them. And it's a story of inspiration. It's a story of come as you are, but you can't stay as you are. It's a story of self-reflection. It's a story like Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist. It shows the trajectory of the alchemy of my life. And I'm so proud of it. And so many people are talking about it now and tuning into it. It's called The Untold Darrin Henson Story. And I'm just really thankful that the world is watching now, and of course, with Darrin's Dance Grooves, the DVD that came out many, many years ago, it's being re-celebrated now. And so, you know, there's so much that's coming from it. This summer, I'll be on tour, you know, doing the dance workshops again. So I'm just really happy to talk to a new generation of people and introduce a new generation of dancers and choreographers because of it and because of the work. And it's very interesting how now when people see me, they call me OG. So, so, you know, I wear the title proudly now.
Oh my goodness, I love it because your dance routines are definitely a blueprint. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I love it.
Yeah. I was gonna say you've definitely built a name for yourself, and I absolutely admire that. Like your list of credentials is just like, you know, out of this world. So what would you say is a takeaway that you want your viewers to get from your documentary? Like I know you said you wanted to inspire and maybe touch a new, or you know, appeal
Yes,
to a new generation, but like, what is
absolutely.
the main thing you would want?
Well, one of the main things that I love is being able to show people that you don't necessarily have to know how to do everything. You just got to be in a place of saying, I'm willing to do it. You have to be in a place of saying, I'm going to try. You have to be in a place of hunger. You have to be in a place of saying, it's going to work out for me. I know it is. I know it is. And it's really from an inspired effort. Like I want people to watch this and say, if he did it, I can do it. And it's not just about dance and choreography. It's about the human will. It's about seeing something in your mind's eye and saying, I'm going to do that. I'm going to turn my thoughts into things. Look, everybody watching this interview right now, everybody who's going to watch the documentary, there's something I want to say to them. And you can, if you believe you can. Period and dot. If you believe you can, a way will be made for you. It will work out. It will happen. It will show up for you. It just works out that way. You don't have to know how. You just have to know that it will. And then you do it. There's something about saying I am or I will that just makes everything work out. And you can literally just smile and be happy and know that the end result that it is, it's going to work out. You know, I didn't know how any of it was going to work for me, but everything worked out. Like it really all worked out. And so I just believe that today. I believed it yesterday, and I'm going to believe that tomorrow because I know that it's true. Everything works out when you say yes to it. Jim Carrey did a movie a long time ago called Yes Man.
Yes, man.
And he said, yeah, you remember that. So he just said yes to every opportunity. And that opportunity led to another opportunity that led to another opportunity. Don't say no. Just say yes and watch what happens.
Oh, yes. I was going to say yes to that.
Yeah. Yes to allowing whatever to flow. Yes to, you know, things going a certain way. Just yes. But see yourself growing in every yes. See yourself glowing in every yes. See yourself going in every yes. Just see everything that you truly desire. But your work is knowing where you want to go. See, that's the gig, right? That's the key in the lock. Knowing what you want in your mind's eye. What is the picture that you want to see yourself in? Because everything that you say yes to is going to help that picture to manifest. So without resistance, without saying no, without, you know, forget being mad, upset, angry. No, just feel good every day and say yes to whatever your dream is. And go for it in every aspect of the word. Go for it and watch it unfold. Like it just happens.
Yes, that was definitely a beautiful answer. You're already speaking life to us, I must say. So speaking of everything that you just said, you know, with everything, saying yes to everything, having that positive mindset, you know, challenges are going to arise, right? So what's a memorable challenge that you faced during your career and how did you pivot through it?
I had tons of challenges. I still have them every day. And a lot of my challenges come from people who are not willing to go, you know, to a space and a place within themselves that is in the unknown, right? It's like trusting the process. I remember when I was going for Michael Jackson, you know, like that was my dream. Literally, that was my dream my entire life. And in order to work with him at the time, you had to be at least 6 feet tall, right? No, actually 6'2". You had to be 6'2". Well, I'm not 6'2", but I wasn't going to let that stop me. So I went to the shoemaker. I got him to put these lifts in my shoe. And when I went to the audition, I knew I was going to be a good enough dancer. But I was also tall enough to audition as well.
Nice.
And so I didn't let anything stop me. Like that would have been a major thing for a lot of people. I figured it out. I said, what do I need to do to become 6'2"?
Mm-hmm.
So I got these 2-inch lifts and put them in my shoe.
Wow.
But that I made the cut.
Mm-hmm. Woo! The King of Pop. I love it.
So
that goes with our title tonight, which is Humble and Driven. You was driven through it and you got that. Tonight's episode is titled Humble and Driven, and it's going with the documentary and everything. So our ask up question of the day is, what are some ways we can practice humility in our lives while still being driven? So I'll go first and answer that. I would say by showing gratitude to the people around you, like to your support system. You know, how many times do we kind of focus on our own problems and focus on ourselves and don't take the time to appreciate the people around us who have helped us get to a certain level? And I will also say inspiring others with the impact that you make. So what about you, Bessie? What would be your answer to that question?
Yeah, I love that. That's definitely a big one. I think I would say too, you kind of touched up on this as well, Darrin, where you were saying like, it's okay to not know everything, right? And I think that's a really big way to accept that. And then also seek, well, how can I find either the people or the ways to get that knowledge or to be able to make that path happen? And I think it's a really big way to practice humility, because it's showing too that there's always more room for improvement, right? That
That's
even
right.
if I don't know everything right now, maybe I can find somebody who does, or someone who can, lead me to that person or anything like that. And that's a really big way to live our life, and really always remember where we come from and that we can always improve and be a better person every single day. And then also keep that drive, right? Like how you were saying that height requirement wasn't going to stop you. So I feel like in practicing that type of humility, we're also saying, okay, well, even if I don't know everything, does that mean I'm going to stop? Absolutely not. It just means I'm going to find a different path that may work a little bit better and may work a little bit different than I thought it was, but at least I'm still going towards what I wanted to in the first place.
That's right. I truly believe in both of those. And at the same time, I believe the humility comes from being able to be useful to other people. Like my life, I've learned, like my life that I'm living is being useful to other people. Like if I didn't do what I do, there were a lot of people right now would be hurting. Literally, a lot of people would be suffering. If I didn't get up out of my bed, other people would suffer. Because there are a lot of people who depend on me for their livelihoods, right? And so to me, it's about being useful to other people. I believe it's important to have a healthy ego. Without a healthy ego, you're in trouble, because this world will beat you down. This world will tell you you're not worthy. This world will tell you you're not good enough. So it's important to have a healthy ego. But also humility will allow you to serve other people, right? I always say I give thanks to the Most High, because it's the Most High that allows me to breathe, to allow me to continue. Other people, if it was left up to them, they would stop me from breathing. They would stop my process. They would stop my growth, only to make themselves feel better about themselves and the lack and limitations that they live in, right? I've seen it my entire life. One of the things, and I agree with Kanye West in what he says, when he says you got to know who you are and whose you are. And so when I recognized that, when I learned that, when I understood, overstood, and understood that, Nobody could stop me. I went through a lot of hardships in my life, but they were all lessons. And they taught me that I didn't spend enough time studying, or I didn't spend enough time learning about other people. I didn't spend enough time organizing. It just taught me that I have to spend more time in the aspect of development and research as I am with creativity. So it taught me a lot. The other thing is, for me, knowing how driven I am, having the balance of that, knowing how patient I must be as well. Because you have to have a balance. If you're incredibly driven, you have to be incredibly patient, right? If you're incredibly strong, you have to be and carry humility as well, right? That balances your strength. Like my wife is really, really like, she has a lot of humility, right? So I'm the balance for her. Like, I'm that go dude, right? And she's very kind, and she's very sweet, and she's very soft, right? And I'm like that go, right, guy. And so there's a balance between us, but at the same time, I learned from her, and I learned that I have to be a little bit softer, and she learns that she's got to be a little bit tougher, right? Because of the world we live in. So there's that balance. But when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to doing what we do, you got to have a strong backbone, because if you don't, you will never last in this industry. You just won't. And so it's important to have the balance of it.
I love that you mentioned the word balance. So, tonight's episode, we're talking about embracing your humble beginnings and stuff. So I remember watching a documentary, and that was like the first topic you talked about at the very beginning. And I think that's amazing when we can take what we came from and make it into something more. And, I like to use this line, use the fire under your ass to push you to move forward,
Right.
Speaking of that balance, because it's like that saying, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So I think, instead of us sometimes dwelling in what we came from, how can we take what we came from, embrace that strength of it, and push forward and inspire others at the same time?
That's right.
And also like seeking feedback from the people around us. So we have a question. Who are some of your favorite artists to work with?
Well, now, as an actor, I'm on 2 television series. One is called The Family Business, and I have the opportunity to work with an amazing actor named Ernie Hudson and Valerie Pettiford. Those are the 2 people on the show that are the patriarchs and the matriarchs of the show. And when I'm telling you, they're actors, I get to play with them on the show, and we go head to head. And so when you get to work with people who really care about acting, it's incredible. It makes you grow. And when you get to deal with people who have lived lives, you get to use that. I have lived a very abundant life on many, many levels. So I try to use that in everything I do. I've experienced so much in my life. And so I use those experiences on screen. When it comes to the dance and choreography world, of course, the first 2 names I'm going to mention are Michael Jackson and Prince. Prince and Michael Jackson, to me, who are the cream of the crop, right? Like, I got to work with both of those people up close and personal. And so, I mean, I don't think I have to say any more than that, right? I mean, the other pop artists that I worked with, I helped to create, like Britney Spears, like, NSYNC, like, Christina Aguilera, J-Lo, she was already her own person. But what I mean is you add value to what they were doing. Enrique Iglesias, I added value to him. Lisa was already an icon, but I added value. So, like, these people, not only did I love working with them, but they became friends. Still today I have friendships and relationships. And that's the most important to me, is that, when it's all said and done, when I'm old and I'm on a cane, because I'm still kicking around, I can look around the world and I can still see people doing my dance steps, and still see people use my videos or watch my movies that I left behind for people to enjoy long after I'm gone. I mean, we look at people like Sidney Poitier, Harry Belafonte, right? you Shabba-Doo. You look at people, Danny Kaye. You look at people, James Brown, Michael Jackson, Prince. Look, long after they're gone, we're listening to their music, watching their movies. Dorothy Dandridge, the Nicholas brothers, right? Like we get to celebrate because they did the work while they were here. And so I'm just living. I just want to have fun and be happy. I just want to distribute love and be loved and feel love and just I just want to have a good time in life. I want to enjoy every moment that I can, because that's really what it's about at the end of the day. It's just about how much fun did you have? How much did you laugh? How much did you give? How much did you share? And, I have so much life experience. I just have so much to give for those people who are willing to learn and receive and just enjoy, And so that's where I am in life.
I love that so much. It's like so much creativity all in one room. I would have loved to be a fly on the wall for some of those and like just see how the process was happening. But yeah, you've definitely left and continue to leave your legacy, of course. And it's just amazing, like how you've been able to even speak so, I want to say, freely about your life, your story. But what would you say has been the hardest and the easiest part about putting your story out there?
I think this is for anybody. I think trying to get people to understand you, and I literally mean this, anybody who wants someone else to understand them. I think that's one of the hardest things to do, because people are different. We're all different. We all process different. We all think differently. We all feel different in different ways. And I think one of the things, if somebody were to ask me, and I think you just did, which is a great question, ladies. One of the hardest things to do is for somebody to really understand who you really are. I think there's always going to be a level of misunderstanding and confusion. But I do my best to try to introduce and reintroduce myself to anybody who really cares to know me. And all I can really say is I am who I am. And either I'm a person that you get or you don't, but, I mean well to everyone. I don't do or say anything to try to cause harm. I'm just being me. And that's all I know how to be, is me. And either that works for somebody or it doesn't. A lot of times, in the past, people ask me, to do choreographical work, and I turned them down because I just didn't feel the artist. And I said, I think somebody else would do a better job here. There are movies I turned down because I don't enjoy the script. I think somebody else would do better, in that particular role. I have to be honest. And I think within my honesty, I'm able to tell my truth. And if I tell my truth, then I'm being honest. You see, it works hand in hand. I just want to be me, and I want to be able to be me all the time. And the only time I think that we change around people is when we feel we can't be ourselves. And I think that's one of the greatest injustices, when you become a shell of yourself because you're not really yourself. And I don't recommend that to anybody. No one do I recommend that to. Be who you are.
Yes, and speaking of you being honest, that goes with you embracing your story. So it is time for our tweet up segment. So you guys know I like to be on Twitter. So something that I tweeted this week that goes with tonight's episode is, a humble beginning creates a beautiful strength and gift that can inspire others. So you never know who's watching. You have to embrace it. And the deepest stories have the deepest impact. So like you said, living in your truth, being honest about who you are. Imagine you did take your story and sugarcoat it and just put out some pretty story because you wanted to seem a certain way. The real impact is actually coming from you being real and being that person.
Exactly.
Your documentary touched me. watching
Thank
every
you.
knowing what you came from and see, seeing everything grow and stuff. So it's like, you never
Wow.
know who's
Thank you.
watching and who's paying attention. So we're very honored to have you on our platform, speaking your truth. And everything too, I want to add in there to the listeners. Don't compare your story to someone else's. We all have
That's right.
different stories, we all have walk of lives, and we can all learn from each other, intertwine within each other.
That's right. That's right.
Definitely an add-on.
Amen to that. Amen.
So it is time for our life up segment. So that's when we take the episode and we compare it to today's world. So Bestie, what is our life up for tonight?
So this one is a little touchy, but obviously we're going to clarify it a little bit. But it's people being a victim to their circumstances. Like I know, I mean, I've been guilty of this, of been complaining. Oh, I didn't come from a rich family. I wasn't handed this, yada yada yada. But it's like, why do I have to fall to that, right? It's not about where I came from. It's about where I'm headed and what I'm doing with that story. So it's also not even ever being ashamed of where we're coming from. And that's kind of what we want to touch up on with the Life Up segment, because it's about that self-talk that you're giving yourself while you're trying to be better, while you're trying to move on from that beginning that you may have had that maybe is not, where you want to end up. And if you're going along the way telling yourself you can't do this, it's kind of like what you were touching up on earlier, like saying, oh, I can't do this, or I've never been good enough for that, or nobody like me, is in this industry or is in this path, whatever. But it's like, if I keep telling myself that, then yeah, of course, my mind is going to believe everything and the body's going to follow as well. So instead, I'm going to change that self-talk and realize that I may not have been able to change where I came from, but I can definitely change where I'm headed. And like you were saying, I think that's really inspirational, of like, as long as I can dream it and I can see it come to reality, then everything else is going to work itself out. Because I've definitely noticed that, like, the more I tell myself I can do something, more doors have been opening. There's been more solutions to things. And then too, I realize it's not so stressful once it's finally getting done. And I think a lot of that complaining or like that negative self-talk comes from us not knowing how to execute something, where if I'm actually even thinking it and then I finally start laying it out, getting that plan or talking to somebody about it, then I'm like, you know what, it's not as scary as I thought it was going to be, especially because I'm breaking it down now. So I definitely wanted to put that out there, because a lot of us may come from humble beginnings, and I love that your story can inspire so many other people and show them that, hey, you can definitely do this. You can definitely dream of something bigger and become the person that you want to be. So in that, we wanted to ask you, what advice would you give to a person who's starting from humble beginnings and maybe wants to do close to what you're doing, or maybe even just be in the industry in general?
Well, the advice that I would give is write down what you want to experience in your life. You got to write it down. You got to make the vision clear. You got to be able to see it in front of you. And then apply yourself in ways that it starts to show up in your life, right? So write it down, make it clear. And, there's certain things that you shouldn't compromise. When you know what you want, you only compromise when it leads you closer to that thing. But don't compromise the integrity of your dreams. I think when we start off in our what we call our humble beginnings, humble meaning lower, right? Like we're low. Like when we say we're at the top, it's because it's high. So that's what we mean when we say humble, right? I think, again, with humility, you can stay the course, but maintain your strength. And your strength is going to come from your dreams. Your strength is going to come from your vision. Your strength is going to come from you writing the vision down and making it plain. You hold the vision and trust the process. Whatever process you have to go through in order to live the dream is the dream, because it's a part of the process to get there. Some people, if you give up on Monday, there is no Tuesday. It's just what it is.
Wow. Yeah.
If you give up on Monday, there's no Tuesday. It's just the way it is. And so, I have a saying, you go through it to grow through it, to glow through it. Some people don't want the pain that they have to go through in order to see their dreams come alive. But they don't call them growing pains for nothing. Growing is painful.
Yes.
but we all have to go through growing pains. And so, I think it's really beautiful when we can embrace it. But one of the things that I tell everybody is write the vision down. Write down what you want to do in 6 months. Write down what you want to experience in 1 year. Write down where you want to be in 5 years. And then another technique I learned is see yourself in the future 5 years from now. See yourself 5 years from now. That's 2028. And I learned this technique from Tony Robbins. I didn't make it up. I learned it. Really see yourself 5 years from now not doing anything you wanted to do, not having the money that you wanted, not having the experiences you wanted, not going to the places you wanted to go to, not being with the person you wanted to be with, not having what you wanted to have. Really see yourself, really feel it. And if you aren't crying, if you don't feel sad, you aren't really seeing yourself there. Like, you really got to see yourself there. Once you see yourself there, you got to take a deep breath. You got to let it go, and you got to rewind those thoughts and see where you are now and realize that 5 years hasn't passed. You can actually make the changes now, and you never have to experience that great loss in 5 years in the future.
Oh,
That's shadow work.
oh, yes, that was well said. And we always for our life, but we always do a how do we fix this? And you basically just answered a great way to fix that. So, and I want to say too, start with what you got. Surround yourself with the best support, with a supportive group, and don't forget who's been there with you through it. So, we have we have a question for you too before we get into our water segment. What are some networking tips you would give a person who wants to build a supportive network?
If you want a supportive network, start building your network and pay attention to what you're getting. If you're getting people who are resistant, get rid of them immediately. Don't wait. If you're around people who are giving you hard times, get rid of them. They're not a part of your vision.
Ooh.
Don't hesitate. All you're going to do is waste time. Because the people that are with you, that want to see you win, they're going to work to see you win. It's not about money for them. The money comes in the end, right? The money comes when everything starts growing. But those people who are giving you problems at the beginning are going to give you hell at the end. Get rid of them now.
Getting that on a shirt. Yes, he's dropping gems for us out here. Hope y'all listening. So it is time for our... I'll cut you off. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I love that because it makes you evaluate the people you already have in your life versus the ones you're looking to have. So it's like kind of like a cleanup in a way before you
Absolutely.
get to add more.
Because think about it. People always talk about the value of $1, right? So the energy of $100 is not the same energy as 1,000. And the energy of 1,000 is not the same energy as 1,000,000. In order for you to get that $1 million in your hand that everybody always talks about, a million, well, you got to vibrate 1,000,000, because 1,000,000 ain't going to show up unless you're vibrating 1,000,000, because everything is energy. So if you have problems and you aren't getting any money and all you're feeling is lack and limitation, worry, doubt, and fear, it's because that's what you're vibrating. And so if you're around anybody that's vibrating like that, that's your fault. You need to get away from those people. And if you give excuses why you're around them, then to give that same excuse for why you don't have what you say you want. And then you'll land in the same place. Because the only reason that you don't have what you want is the excuse you give for not having it.
Yes. That was well said right there. That definitely a nugget. So it is time for our drink up segment. So if you're out there listening, please grab some water and drink some water. And Jen has a water fact for tonight.
All right. So we know that we need to have a healthy brain, right, in order for that drive to continue, in order for that humility to drive through. So the water fact for tonight is water helps your brain cells communicate with each other, which is important when you go about your day. Water also clears out the toxins and waste that impair brain function. Not to mention, it also carries the nutrients to your brain to keep it healthy. Of course, we need a healthy brain and body if we want to keep exercising and running and thriving to the best of our ability. And I love this because it shows that yes, you can have the right mindset, right? But if you're not hydrating yourself, even doing the very basics, then it's going to be definitely a little bit harder to get there. And you definitely don't want to pass out. You don't want to be dehydrated and then make bad decisions and then ask yourself why that's even happening, right? So always make sure you're drinking your water. And that was the water fact for tonight.
Oh, that was well said. Yes. So drink that water and stay
I agree.
Yes. Gotta
It's
have the
so
water.
true. It's so important. You know, there's times where I'm working so much that my wife has to ask me if I had water today. And then she'll bring me a bottle of water or a glass of water because I realize I've just been so busy that I didn't even have just a glass of water. And it's so important. So kudos to you in this segment because it's incredibly important.
Yes, well said, well said. So back to our episode. So it is important to, while staying driven and humble, it's important to not forget your why. I feel like our why keeps us driven at the end of the day, and our why keeps us wanting to help others and take the spotlight off of ourselves and to put it onto others. And Jen mentioned something about it being a healthy why. Can you elaborate on
Yeah.
that?
Because we always talk about the why, right? And I've heard this a lot, like ask yourself why. And I think that's great. But then taking it one step further too and asking yourself if it's a healthy why and if it's still feeding the dreams you're currently having for yourself. Because I would hope, right, that maybe when we started on this journey, and maybe Darren, you can attest to this too, that you're not the same person you were even like 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago when you first started. And maybe that why has changed, right? Maybe you've gotten a family by now, or you found a deeper reason to help your community, different reasons. I would hope that it doesn't just stay about the money or, the material stuff. And that's a reminder even for myself too, where I was thinking about this the other day of like, dang, the why that I had for starting even this show changed from when we started it like 4 or 5 years ago. So it's continuously asking yourself, like, is this dream still the way that I want it to be? Or do I need to alter it a little bit so that I can still keep that drive? Because sometimes that happens too, right? We fall into a routine because we're like, oh, I'm going for this, I'm going for that. And maybe along the way we find out, oh, I can do it differently because my reasoning has changed, or my dream has changed, or the way that I want to execute it has changed. So I think this is a really big extra step to even ask yourself apart from that why, because the older we get too, the reasons may be different, and we can find different ways to feed that dream and that why as well.
Yes.
Yes, we gotta wish you a happy birthday on here too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. You know, I think that's a great statement because the why is everything, right? The why is what drives you. And when I was younger, my why was I want to be known in life. Literally, I knew in my life, I want people to call me one of the best who ever lived. And so that was my why growing up. I wanted to be one of the best. I knew in life that I wanted my name to be said as one of the best. And so that was my why. And that drove me. It just drove me. And it drove me to success. And, success leaves clues. You just have to know where to put your magnifying glass, right? You have to be a detective for success, right? And so now my why, I think, is, see, it's interesting. Before I would say I know, now I say I think, because it's about spending more time in the why. But I would say my why now is to teach other people how they can. Because I see a lot of people that can, but they just don't have the drive that is necessary to get them where they say they want to go. And so my why is to teach them, and I don't even know if I can, but I try to teach them how to tap into their drive, how to tap into their why. I think that's what it is. My why is to show other people how to tap into their why. There it is.
You're doing it too on here. It's already being played out. So it is time for our quote up segment. So y'all know my bestie is a quotie. So here's a quote that she has ready for tonight.
Tonight's quote is, humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. by C.S. Lewis. And I loved this quote because, in us trying to figure out this episode, like I wanted the point that we're trying to make to drive home. And I think you just spoke to that, in that now your why is more to be of service, right? Is to show other people
Yes.
their why, like why they continue going. And I think with this quote, it's showing it doesn't mean you become any less Darrin, right? Your credentials don't fall, your successes don't fall just because you're trying to help somebody else. On the contrary, you get more of that built up even within yourself by being of service to others. So not only are you doing others a great service, but you're still doing that great service to yourself at the same time. And I think this is the best thing that we can do, not just in an industry, but more on a societal level too, because we're showing other people that, maybe I can be that believer in you that maybe you aren't in yourself, or that you didn't have in your own life growing up, or just I can be one extra voice telling you, yes, you can do this, to push you. And then at the same time, hey, I see you pursuing your dreams, I could still pursue my own at the same time.
That's
So
right.
it goes back and forth. And yeah, like this quote, I think I'm just gonna have to see it every single day now, because it just really changed everything for me. And
I love
this
it.
conversation, yeah, just really attests to this quote as well.
For sure does. And so we'd like to ask our guests this: what's a quote that you live by?
Ask more of myself than anybody could ever ask of me. That way I'm always prepared.
Yes. Ooh, that's beautiful. And we always have a fun question for our guests. So Jen has the fun question for tonight.
What's the most memorable outfit that you had to wear in a music video?
I had to go there.
I'll tell you, which is really funny. Every music video that I did, I still have the clothes
Wow.
from. Like, literally, I have the outfits from every music video that I ever did. But the most outrageous one, I would probably say, it wasn't a music video. It was a live show. When I was younger, I used to be in Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. And our outfits were pretty loud. They were bright green and fuchsia with diamonds blinging on them. And those are probably, those pictures are floating around. That's probably the most outrageous, loud, fun outfit I ever had to wear.
Yes. You have to do a throwback post soon wearing
Yes.
it.
Yes.
IG. So it's time for our wrap-up segment. Oh, sorry. It is time for our wrap-up segment. So how does this relate to self-love? Self-love is loving yourself enough to remain humble and give to others, and also loving yourself enough to keep your drive alive to go after the goals that you want. So Darrin, how do you practice self-love?
I practice self-love by being honest with myself. I believe the more that we tell the truth to ourselves about ourselves, the stronger we can become, and the more humility we can express. But it has to start with telling ourselves our own truths and standing on that. To me, that's self-love.
Ooh, yes, well said. And
Blown away over here. And we have one final question that we'd love to ask our guests. What do you want to be remembered for?
I want to be remembered for the gifts that I shared with the world, because I wanted to bring smiles, happiness, and tears of joy to people who were able to use for themselves what I gave. I want to be known as a person who lived his dreams and shared them with other people so they can live theirs.
yes, it's definitely being done in that in your documentary, by the way. And back to our episode. We don't choose our beginnings; we choose what we do with it. So you definitely took everything you've been through, and you're placing it out there and inspiring others.
Yeah, definitely. And to wrap it all up, we just want to say it's great to have drive and to want to be better than you started from, but never forget that there's always going to be room to grow as a person, and that's where the true humility comes from, right? We're always striving to improve.
That's right.
Yes, I love that. It was so nice having you on our platform, Darrin. Before we go, can you shout out where can people find your documentary or your information? They want to
First
tap
of all, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on your show. I love your show. I think it is so useful and important for people to hear what you have to say because you're giving so much on this platform, and it's really one I think that is going to help people who actually tune in, tap in and turn on to it because it's really powerful. So thank you so much for having me on. I can be found on Facebook at Darrin Henson, on Instagram at I am Darrin D Henson. Mostly I'm on Instagram and Facebook. And so I just want to say, come find me there. Atlanta, if you're going to be in Atlanta on May 17th, I'm doing an all-white party. Come to the all-white party. In Tampa on May 20th, I'm doing another all-white party. And May 27th and 28th, I will be in the DMV area teaching acting classes. You can find me on my website, God's Billboard T-shirts, or DarrinHenson.com.
Woo, yes. And y'all, you guys make sure you check out his documentary. It's really great, by the way. We appreciate y'all tapping into our 13th episode of our newest segment, Speak Up JV. Now, y'all see we just had an amazing guest who just dropped some amazing gems. Thank you again, Darrin, for tuning in with us. Before we go, make sure you guys follow us on Instagram at Speak Up JV. And also our YouTube channel. We're on YouTube, Spotify, and we're on Twitter at SpeakUpJV. But a quick shout out to our amazing sponsors. Shout out to My Bar, located at 720 East Manchester in Inglewood, California. Get your nails, your lashes, your hair done. Ask for my. Tell them that SpeakUpJV sent you. The Instagram is at myy.bar.
And shout out to Be Actual Natural. Why settle for less? All their products are created with you in mind for a goal to let your self-love show through your self-care. Their chemical-free hair and skincare products are handmade, plant-based, and free of fillers or preservatives. Treat yourself while you're taking care of yourself. Start your journey at www.beactualnatural.com or check them out on Instagram at beactualnatural.
Yes, thank you again, Darrin. This was a pleasure.
Thank
you
Darrin.
so much. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yes, so take care. We'll see y'all next Thursday. Bye.
Bye.